This is going to be a review of RWBY Season 5, Episode 2. It's going to be the same as last time. I'm going to go over what's happened in the episode and then say what I think about the theories that might happen for the rest of the season and so on. That being said, I'm going to assume that you've all watched the episode already, so if you haven't, either go over to Rooster Teeth first or wait till Saturday when the episode's made publicly available to watch the episode and then come back and watch the review. Anyways, we start off the episode where we see Watts enter Lionheart's office, and then they go to report to Salem through one of those ball grims, I guess. The jellyfish-looking things, they're called seer grims, and they can communicate through those to Salem. And, of course, Lionheart tells Salem that we know where the Winter Maiden is, and Salem says, "Oh, congratulations, Watts." Not Lionheart or anything, just Watts. In other words, pretty much making Leo the bitch. Saying that Watts made this process go a lot faster and that she should have sent him a lot sooner to, in other words, intimidate Lionheart and get this information a lot faster. But he mentions that, Crow is there, and that's the only reason that they know this information. Upon hearing that, Cinder is standing next to Salem, and she speaks. We find out that Cinder has actually recovered. In the time since Season 4 and Season 5, Cinder is completely recovered now. We think. Watts comments that she's recovered, and Cinder can speak normally now, so, that's going to happen. She speaks asking about RWBY, is the girl there? Because she's really pissed off at RWBY still, obviously. But Lionheart then says, you have to hurry and go after Raven because Crow is here and he's not listening to what I say. He's going to want to go after her anyways. So, at that point, Salem gets the seer grim to wrap one of the tentacles around Lionheart, which shows that Salem can control the grim. We kind of had a hint at that before, but we never saw her physically controlling them, but she did this time. She wrapped the tentacle around Lionheart's neck and commented on, essentially, know your place. I remember the first time that we met, your fear of me. So, essentially, that confirms that Leo is, in fact, the cowardly lion. And that's just proving to me that my theory about the Headmasters of Oz in one of my other videos, that all of the Headmasters are based off of the Wizard of Oz characters. We then find out that Arthur Watts, so Watts' first name is Arthur, Salem turns to him and says, okay, Tyrion needs a new tail. The RWBY girl cut it off, he needs a new tail. So, and Salem also calls him a doctor. We knew he was, had some important role in her inner circle, but what kind of doctor is he? I doubt he's a medical doctor, but he could be. And I'm guessing since he's, either building a new tail, I don't know if that means he's going to bioengineer a new tail, like regrow Tyrion's old tail, or my guess is it's probably going to be a mechanized tail, a mechanical tail. It'll be interesting to see where that goes in the future, but that means Tyrion's going to be coming back and he's going to be most likely stronger because of this tail. That's my guess. Next part is we cut to Weiss and we see what's going on there. First thing that happens is a ship just crashes into an island, explodes. That's it, they're done. And those were the people who gave out the distress signal back in episode 1. We see their main ship being attacked by a whole bunch of Grimm who look like giant wasps. And they rip that ship apart, blow it up, they're done. Those people who called for help, they're dead. There's no way I could see them surviving that. We find out that these new Grimm are called Lancers, because they can shoot their stingers out and latch onto people, or latch onto things, people, whatever it comes in contact with, stabs through and hooks on, and is almost like a grappling hook. Or I guess the better term would be harpoon, but still. So, since the ship is carrying a whole bunch of dust, Weiss goes to the back, uses her glyphs to stick onto the back of the ship while the other guy's maneuvering around. They open the back hatch, and she fights them all off. What shows up then is a giant form of the Lancer, which is the Queen Bee. And Weiss solos this by using her summoning, which shows that she has very good control over her summoning already, which again proves my theory that I put out in another video, that Weiss is the strongest character of the student class, like Team Ranger, Team Juniper, Team RWBY, all of them, that she's the strongest out of their class right now because of her summoning. Because she soloed this thing, one-shot it with her Knight. Granted, she uses gravity to her ability by sending the ship straight upwards, having the Knight jump out and slash the thing in half, but still, one shot is all it took, and Weiss was able to take this thing down. Thing is, though, their ship took some damage, and we see it go down. The next part of the episode is actually really interesting to me, because it cuts to the White Fang. None of the main characters, but the White Fang. We see Adam Taurus addressing the High Leader of the White Fang. And I was under the impression that Adam Taurus was already the leader of the White Fang. But we find out, no, there's actually a High Leader, and Adam Taurus is just in control of one section of it, or maybe just the militia of it. Maybe he's the vice leader. But he's reporting to High Leader Khan kneeling in front of her. And she's essentially saying, "You're a moron. What did you do attacking Beacon Academy?" And he said it needed to be done. You know, we want to win over the humans. But Khan continues to say, we don't want a war we can't win. We want them to fear us and to respect us as, you know, a sentient race, as someone who are of equals, possibly more than that. But Khan essentially says, we shouldn't have attacked Beacon, and we're not going to attack Haven. That's not going to happen. Adam Taurus protests this and actually brings in Hazel, the big strong guy of Salem's group. We don't find out his semblances or anything, because he's a pretty well-mannered and sensible guy from what we've seen so far. He just comes simply to talk. But after a little bit of conversing, Adam Taurus just gets fed up with it, and actually Khan gets a little bit fed up with it, and she says, "You know what? I'm done with this for the day. So soldiers, take him away, put him in incarceration. Shouldn't have brought this human here, etc., etc." Soldiers don't listen to her, which I kind of saw coming. What Adam Taurus does is he takes over the White Fang. He becomes the leader of the White Fang. So our impression up to this point, or at least since my impression was that Adam Taurus was already the leader, that impression stays constant throughout all of this, except for about a 5-minute gap where we find out, oh, there's a High Leader. Oh, wait, no, there's not, because Adam Taurus just stabbed her in the gut and killed her. I don't believe that she's actually dead, because all he did was one stab right through the gut. I don't believe that's enough to kill her, and besides, if all the other members of the White Fang had been loyal to her for this entire time, I don't think they're actually going to kill her. They're just probably going to exile her or something, because I honestly don't think that she's going to be dead. But the very last scene of the episode is we cut back to Weiss, and we see that she's in front of the ship crash. We don't see the pilot, actually, so I don't know what happened to him. He might be dead, but we'll find out later. But she's confronted by a couple of people. She asks for help, and then Raven appears and kicks her in the head, knocking her out, taking her captive. So my initial theory back in episode 1 was that Weiss was going to go end up helping these people who are in distress. That didn't happen, because, you know, they're dead now. And she's the one who ended up getting taken captive by Raven. And I thought it was going to be Yang who would be taken captive by Raven, because Yang was the one going specifically looking for her. Now, that doesn't mean that Yang's not going to be taken captive, because that might happen. You know, knowing Raven, she's pretty smart, pretty devious. All she'd have to do, hold her blade up to Weiss's neck and just say, "Yeah, put your weapons down or I'm killing your friend," and then take Yang hostage. When it ends up being Crow and Team Ranger who end up showing up there's more people, more strategies can be put in place, and I think that's going to lead to the confrontation. Now, I don't know if this is going to be the main confrontation of the entire season 5, where Raven and Crow are going to clash. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen in season 5, but the main confrontation might actually be a fight over Haven and what happens there, because they might go to Raven, get the Spring Maiden back. I doubt they're going to convince Raven to join them. I don't think that would happen. It'd be amazing if it would, and please let that happen, because then, you know, we get to see more of Raven's power and her as a main character, which would be great for future seasons. But I think what's going to happen is something's going to happen with that tribe. They're going to have to go back to protect Haven against the White Fang, which Adam Toros is now in charge of, and we'll see where it goes from there. And because I think that the High Leader Khan is still alive from the White Fang, I think that that's going to separate the White Fang into 2 different factions. High Leader Khan is eventually going to meet up with Blake, is my guess, and they are going to essentially reform the White Fang, I think, because I think High Leader Khan is going to realize that her way of doing things, because she did want the humans to fear the Faunus, not be servants of the Faunus like Adam Toros wanted, but to fear the Faunus. So she was still okay with attacking humans and everything, stealing dust, etc., but just not this all-out war. And I think that's going to separate the White Fang into 2 factions, and I think that's going to intermingle with Blake and her family as well, because Blake's father was the previous leader of the White Fang, so I think Khan and him are going to start to see eye to eye and reform the White Fang. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Weiss, I believe, is going to be taken prisoner until either Yang or Crow and Team Ranger show up to save her. And then, you know, it'll be interesting to see Tyrion's new tale, because he's going to come back, he's going to be fighting other people. And the fact that Watts was able to just walk into Leo's office and then they said, oh yeah, Crow showed up yesterday, that says that Watts has been staying in Haven this entire time. So I don't know what's going to happen there. Like, is he going to build the tale in Haven and then bring it to Tyrion, or is Tyrion going to come to Haven to get this tale? And if that's, first of all, with Watts being in Haven, that means that he's probably going to end up fighting Crow and Team Ranger, most likely. And if Tyrion comes there as well, there might be a rematch between Tyrion, Crow, and RWBY. And again, that would be an interesting fight to see. All in all, hoping to see some good fights throughout this season, and we'll see what happens in episode 3. These reviews will be out by Monday. I'll say Monday, like 7 p.m. every single day, and we'll see where it goes from there. Anyways, guys, if you like this video and want to see more, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.